Welcome back, children. This is Information Technology for class 11. The subject code is 802 and this is your textbook, children. IT tools. Let us move on to the lesson. The contents of this lesson is number 1, fundamental concepts of a computer system. Number 2, characteristics of a computer. Number 3, block diagram of a computer. Number 4, inside the computer. Number 5, components of a computer. Number 6, operating system. Number 7, functions of an operating system. And finally, number 8, types of operating system. But in today's session, I will be dealing the first 4 points, that is fundamental concepts of a computer system, characteristics of a computer, block diagram of a computer, and inside the computer. Now let us move on to the session, children. Here, the fundamental concepts of a computer. Let me list out point wise. Point number 1. A computer is defined as an electronic device which is capable of receiving information, which is otherwise called as data, in a particular form. Now here, data is nothing but the smallest piece of information. What is the smallest piece of information? For example, your name. If I ask you what is your name, you will tell your name, which is a data. Now what is an information? Information is a complete detail of a particular data. For example, in postcard, you will write your name, you will write the address, pin code, state, all these becomes an information. But what is data? As you said, if you are going to give only the name, which is not a complete information. So a data is nothing but the smallest piece of information, but an information is collection of interrelated fields. I hope you understood this. Let us move on to the second point. The language understood by computer is what is termed as binary language. A language formulated as sequence of zeros and ones. Now in this point, you come across binary. What is binary? Divide that word into 2. Bi means 2. How many wheels do a bicycle have? A bicycle will have 2 wheels. So bi means 2. Now this bi is formulated as zeros and ones. So the language that computer understand is termed as a binary language, and it is of the form of either 0 or 1. Hope this second point is clear. Let me move on to the third point. The instructions which are provided by the user are in the form of English-like language. You can see on the others, on the right hand side, second one here. Here, a program is written. Some sales price, some number is given. In that, we are giving a 5% discount on a particular sale. Now that is written in English, which a human can understand. But look at the left hand side. The computer will understand only machine language, which is in the form of 0 or 1. And hope this is clear to you. So the third point is the instructions which are given by the user are in the form of English-like language. So So the human beings normally use English, so they type a coding or a program in the form of simple English where another human being can understand, but a computer cannot understand an English language, so the same have to be compiled or interpreted in the form of 0 and 1. Say for example, in a typical classroom session, the teacher is explaining the concepts in English. So the students, all of you know English, you can understand what the teacher is talking about. The medium is English. But in a situation where a student cannot understand English, if he or she knows only the local language but cannot understand English, how do the interpretation reach that particular student? Can you give me an example? Yes. You can place a translator who translates this English language to an understandable language where the student can understand. Now that is the third point, which is clearly giving the instructions which are provided by the user are in the form of English-like language, but computer knows only zeros and ones, which is in the form of a binary language. Hope this is clear to you. Now coming back to fourth point, these instructions therefore need to be converted to machine readable format, the binary format, that is 0 and 1, and then processed by the machine. Now let me show you this, the point which we have already discussed. On the right hand side, it is given in simple English, but look at the processing time. It is very slow. It is clearly given here. It is very slow. The processing time, can you see the progress bar below processing time is very slow. But look at the left hand side picture. The instructions are given in zeros and ones where the machine can understand, but at the same time the processing time progress bar is much faster than the language that is understood by the human being. Hope this is clear to you. Now let me move on to the last point. All this is achieved by an effective coordination of the components of the computer, broadly classified as hardware and software. Now how do we achieve it? As I have given you an example of the interpretation of English being used by the user, but the other person, the student who do not know English, how can it happen? It can happen with the help of a translator who can translate English and give it to the student in local language. Now that is possible, but how it is possible in the form of the computer languages, that is English to the machine language? It can be done only with an effective coordination of the hardware and the software. Hope this is clear to you. Now, do you understand this fundamental concepts of a computer system? Let me recall it once again. A computer is defined as an electronic device which is capable of receiving data. You understood what is a data. An example is given. Your name is a data, but information is what you write on the postal letter, with your name, your complete address with PIN code, state and country as well. Second point, the binary, the language understood by the computers, which is what is termed as binary language, a language formulated as sequence of zeros and ones. For that I have given you an example of a bicycle. A bicycle has two wheels, so The language is formulated as sequence of either zeros or ones. Third point, the instructions which are provided by the user are in the form of English-like language. On the right hand side, clearly a picture is given to you for example. These instructions therefore need to be converted to machine readable format, the binary format, that is zeros and ones, and then processed by the machine. The last point, all this is achieved by an effective coordination of the components of the computer, broadly classified as hardware and software. In the next slide, you will understand what is called as a hardware and what is called as a software. Can we move on to the next slide, children? Yeah. Now, the term hardware refers to the tangible component of a computer that we can touch and feel, like the keyboard, mouse and monitor. It is as simple as that. Components that you can touch and feel is called as the hardware. For example, if you have a desktop will have the monitor. The monitor you can touch and feel, so it is a hardware. Similarly, the mouse you can touch and feel, so it is a hardware. So any component that you can touch and feel are called hardware. But however, the term software refers to the intangible components like word processor, operating system and data. After rebooting your system, you have your desktop, okay, and after that you open program, Word document, PowerPoint presentation, Excel document. All these things you cannot touch and feel, but you can store the information. So anything that you cannot touch or feel but you can still work on, that is called as a software. Example, word processor you can say, Excel, PowerPoint and even music you cannot touch and feel but you can hear. So that will also come under the software, operating system and data. Now the data and or instructions given by the user to the machine are termed as input, and the result generated by the machine for use by human is termed as output. Below I have clearly given you a picture which is data. You are inputting 2 and 3 with the help of keyboard. You press 2 and you press plus symbol and then you press 3. These are the inputs through keyboard, and soon after that what is processing? Processing is addition is involved here. So the processor takes that 2 and 3 as input and it invokes addition process. Once the addition is made, finally the output of 5 is shown onto the monitor, which becomes a information. Hope you understood what is called as an input, how you get an output. You can get an output only after processing the data. Shall we move on to the next slide, children? Yeah, here. Characteristics of a computer. There are many characteristics. We will go through one at a time. Speed. A remarkable quality of computers in their ability to process data and instruction at a very high speed. A typical high-speed computer can perform about 3 to 4 MIPS, which is million instructions per second. So in a second, million instructions can be performed. Note that this is different from the speed with which information can be sent to and from a computer, which is normally measured in baud. Baud is nothing but the information that is sent to and from the computer, that is called as baud. But what is MIPS? MIPS is million instruction per second. Per second, how many instructions can be performed? That is called as the MIPS. But baud is different. Baud is nothing but the information that is going in and coming out from the computer is called as baud. On the right hand side, I have clearly given you an example of speed. A computer can perform millions of calculations in a second, which is already told you, it is called as MIPS. And see, a timing is clearly given on the right hand side. So many instructions, millions of instructions are performed per second. Now next point is accuracy. Not only does the machine performs varied jobs with high speed, but also does them with high precision and accuracy. Note that the errors that one may see in output produced by the computer is not because of the machine, but because of either wrong entry of data or wrong instructions given to compute. In computer terminology, this phenomenon is often referred to as GIGO, that is nothing but garbage in, garbage out. Now look at the right hand side, example is very clearly given. Computer works with precision every time, that is how accurate it is. 22 divided by 7, see 3.142857. If you calculate it manually, you may make some mistake, but the accuracy part of it, it is very accurate. Even if you want so many decimal places, for example, if you want a 10-digit decimal places, even that also, that is calculated by the machine in accuracy. So accuracy part, computer is much reliable than a human being. Now third point, memory. One of the notable features of a computer is its memory. Memory is nothing but the brain of the computer. However, the computer's main memory is volatile. That is, it is lost when we switch off the computer. Therefore, computers are provided another form of memory that does not fade away when it is switched off. It is called secondary memory and is available in the form of floppy disk, pen drives, portable hard disks. The meaning of this is very simple. Memory is nothing but the brain. Whatever information that is stored in your brain, if someone is posing you a question, you are going to give the answer. That is the memory. Not only that, the memory is divided into two types here. One is the primary memory. Primary memory is the hard disk, what you store, which is very costly. And the secondary memory is, it is nothing but the externally where you can store it. For example, pen drive. You put it in the pen drive slot, you take some copies of your file and you can restore it later on. That is called as the secondary memory, which is an external part of storing it. Hope you understood these. One is the speed, the second one is the accuracy, the third one is the memory. Do you understand, children? Please go through this for a minute. Okay, we can move on to the next slide. And the fourth point is diligence. What is diligence? Now go through the picture. A computer can work continuously without getting tired. The literal meaning is manual person, human being, if he is going to sit and work for hours, he gets tired, but computer will not be getting tired. That is called as diligence. Another noteworthy feature of a computer is its ability to perform the same task repeatedly over and over again without getting bored. For example, a task of adding 1000 numbers repeatedly for 10,000 times, if given to a computer, it would be able to do the task with the same accuracy every time without complaining that it is being asked to do this job over and over again. So diligence is nothing but computer will not get tired even if you are going to give them 1000 or 10,000 times. If you are going to do make it perform the same thing, it will still do it without getting tired, but human beings cannot do that. Hope diligence concept is clear. We will move on to the next concept, which is versatility. Now look at the picture. Computer can be used to perform various tasks at the same time. Now that man who is sitting in front of the computer is listening to music, that is one task. He is typing his notes, that is the second task, and he may give a printout simultaneously when he is listening to music, that is the third task. So versatility means he can perform various tasks at the same time. That is the literal meaning of versatility, or you may even say it as multitasking. Versatility is the ability of computer to do a variety of jobs with ease. One moment you can type a letter using any of the available word processing packages, and the other moment you can use the same machine to do calculations yielding the salaries of employees of an organization. Now, storage. Now look at the picture. Storage space. Computer can store billions of bytes of information. For example, capacity of 1 terabyte is equal to 2 lakh songs. So that much amount of storage space is possible. That provision is always there in terms of storage. So huge amount of data and information can be stored in a computer for future retrieval. The human memory is limited and fades away with time, which is not true for computer. So computer can store any number of, that is 2 lakh songs. You can store movies in that. You can store some great collection of books, library books, collection of testimonials. So all these things are possible with the help of the storage capacity that is available with computer. Now next one is intelligence. In the early days, although computers possessed striking characteristics, yet a prominent drawback was that they are merely dumb machines which were programmed to perform certain tasks. With the advent of artificial intelligence techniques, we now have machines which can drive a car without a human driver or play chess against the best player. That is, see, computer does not have artificial intelligence. The idea is you give a program. That program you ask it to do million times, it will do, but it cannot do something out of the box. So whatever that you have framed, only within that framework it can work. But through artificial intelligence, that is, say for example, this is COVID-19 COVID period. Okay, so during this time you can see a lot of robots carrying food, carrying medicines to the patients. So artificial intelligence is already, it is given. So based on the instruction that is given by the doctor and the medical team, that particular robot will perform. And the second example given here is driving a car without a human driver. That is number 2. And even chess, playing chess with the best players, the artificial intelligence that the present day computer is designed, it can think on its own and perform. This is what is given in intelligence. Hope this is clear to you. Now let us see the block diagram of a computer. The block diagram is nothing but how does it function. So data, as you know, it is the smallest piece of information. Say for example 2 plus 3. You are going to type 2 plus 3 through the keyboard. So 2 plus 3 input, it is received in the input unit. The input unit then transfers it to the memory. As I have already told you, there are 2 types of memory. One is the primary storage, the other one is the secondary storage. Primary storage is inbuilt. Example, RAM, okay, which is very fast. And secondary storage is secondary, that is, it is not inbuilt like pen drive. You can use it externally. For example, external hard disks are available where you can use it externally. Pen drive, external hard disk, CD drive, all these things are part of secondary storage. So as soon as 2 plus 3 is typed, the input unit passes on those numbers to the primary storage, which is RAM. RAM then transmits it to the central processing unit. As you can see the box below, the central processing unit has a control unit and an arithmetic and logical unit. Now what does this control unit does? Control unit will check whether all the components are connected properly. It will check whether there is a loose contact with the keyboard or mouse or other ports that are available. So control unit basically manages the connection part of all the components that are involved, and immediately the control unit passes on the control to the arithmetic and logical unit. Arithmetic, as you know, addition, multiplication, subtraction and division. This is something to deal with the arithmetics. And logic, what is logic? Logic means either or. For example, A less than B. The logic is you will analyze which one is bigger and which one is smaller. So here the input being 2 plus 3, the arithmetic and logical unit will activate the arithmetic operation of addition. So 2 plus 3 is calculated, which is equal to 5, and immediately the result will be sent back to the primary storage, which is RAM, and quickly it will move to the output unit, which is the monitor, and finally the result is displayed onto the monitor. Hope this is clear to you. Let me tell you once again. The input unit collects the input from the user through the keyboard. It is immediately going to the storage unit, which is the primary storage, which is the RAM. It immediately enables the control unit in the central processing unit and activates the arithmetic calculation through arithmetic and logical unit. Now arithmetic, that is addition, is being involved since 2 plus 3 is given. So plus, that addition is activated, and soon after that the result 5 is sent to the RAM, that is the primary storage, and soon after that it is flashing on to the output unit, which is nothing but the monitor. This is the block diagram of a computer. Hope this is clear to you. As I have told you, the primary memory, RAM and ROM, I have clearly given it to you as picture. Secondary memory are nothing but the external hard disk, the DVD drive and magnetic tapes that are available where you can store the information. The secondary memory is that is the external memory. It is not inbuilt, it is external. Even pen drive is external. So secondary memory, you can take pen drive is also an example of the secondary memory. Clearly the theory part is given to you on the left hand side, but understanding is very, very important. So please understand the logic, understand the concepts, and then you go through it. Here on the right hand side, I have given you the logical symbols, and below, as you can see, I am typing 2 plus 2. Recall the previous thing, that is this block diagram. Let me explain this with an example. Here input 2 plus 2 is typed by the user. What are input devices? Keyboard is an input device, mouse is an input device, touch screen, light pen, joystick, all these things are input devices. Now the user is giving 2 plus 2, and immediately the processor will have the arithmetic and logical unit. The arithmetic and logical unit checks whether an arithmetic operation is coming in or a logical thing is coming in. Now in this case it is arithmetic because it is 2 plus 2. If it is A less than B, 2 less than 3. If 2 less than 3 is given, it becomes a logical operator. So processor will check it whether it is arithmetic is coming or logical activity is coming. In this case it is arithmetic, so it immediately performs the 2 plus 2. Memory, as you know, above I have clearly given you the primary memory or the secondary memory. Primary memory is very fast. RAM and ROM are the example. It gets stored there, and immediately the result, which is 4, is displayed onto the monitor, which is the output device. What are output devices? Example I have clearly given you: the monitor, the speaker and the printer. Now inside the computer, as you can see, this is the desktop, the front view, and behind that, that is the slot that is available. How the parts are inbuilt inside this slot, I will show it to you in the next slide. This is the motherboard. As I have clearly given you, the motherboard is given on the right hand side. Where it is present inside that computer, I have clearly labeled it. That is for your information. Just go through this. That is the motherboard. RAM, random access memory. What is random access memory? It is the primary memory. It is very fast and it is volatile in nature. What is volatile in nature? It is temporary storage of memory is called as volatile nature. As I have clearly given you the slot, kindly go through this. Exactly in that place RAM is fixed. Now hard disk. Hard disk is clearly given here. The files that you create will be stored here. So C drive is a hard disk. You may store it in D drive, E drive. So all these information that are available in C drive, D drive, E drive, my documents, my pictures will be stored in hard disk. It is very expensive. Kindly go through this. It is an example of hard disk. Let me move to the next slide. Expansion slots. Expansion slots, if you want to add more gadgets, you can add them in that expansion slots. You can remove that and you can add new. If you want to add new printer or any other gadgets, you can add it in the expansion slots. Power supply. That is the main thing. As you can see, the 3 plug, you have to keep it there, plug it in and then switch on the power. It is always recommended to go for a UPS, uninterrupted power supply, because due to power fluctuation your data may get lost. So to avoid that, always go for an uninterrupted power supply, UPS. It will have minimum 20 minutes backup. When the power supply is off, it will give you a beep sound, orange beep sound. So you can save all your files and then you can shut down the system. Hope this is clear to you. We have come to the end of the session, children. So hope you understood the concepts, and I shall meet you in next class. Thank you.